back 7 years later. So first I wanted to, I want to ask a few questions, and maybe given the time we can open it up to the audience. First I wanted to ask you about the writing of the film, because I think with the Nothing Factory, the structure of this film is very interesting, and it has this kind of episodic structure or anthology kind of structure. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about how the writing played out, and sort of how this structure, which is very definitive, sort of came about.
Well, yeah, like in the Nothing Factory, I kind of learned a certain way of working in the writing, which is very collaborative, and so I invited a certain number of friends that are linked with cinema, but also others that had a bit of the experience of the film, the experience of Sergio, of being expats in an African city, something like that. So I invited about 10 people, and we were writing for some months about some things that we saw, some things that we've lived, and things that we also spoke with many people. So it was very informed in the sense of that we used to invite people to come over and to speak with us and tell us things, experiences, some knowledge that was brought by these people that came, and that's it. We worked in a very dialectical process of the writing, and in the end, we had a script, but the script was not done yet. It was totally dialogued, but I think, as Cleo might also confirm, I think, we were writing during the process of the shooting. I was discussing with the actors and the crew upon the paper, but the paper was rarely shared, because I wanted to also invite the actors to bring their own subjectivity to the characters and rewrite the dialogues, even rewrite the scenes often. And so it was a very ongoing process until the end of the editing in the end.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the ensemble cast in the film is like so remarkable, and it makes me interested to know how the casting played out. But I imagine it's a mix of perhaps professional actors and non-professional actors, and maybe this is where like Cleo, you could talk a little bit about like how you like entered the fold here, and what your impressions were of the film when it first like presented itself to you.
I'm a little bit nervous. I need to say that to break the ice for me, not for you guys, but just for me. Take all the responsibility, because I think I'm good to communicate it, but in English, I don't know. I will try.
We'll get through it together.
So I will just confirm that if I understand your question first. Ele perguntou-me
como é que foi o casting, o processo de escolha dos atores e o trabalho.
Pedro Pinho put me waited for the answer for my yes for 1 year. So I just received my yes 1 year before, after I did a cast. So the process for me was like very a space with so much freedom, but also confidence, you know. I have a lot of talk with Pedro, because I was concerned how to represent a black woman in in this film, and I didn't like to see her and see like an angry or stereotype character than I see in the movie, and I didn't like. So my big concern was always like, I want like black women see the movie, I don't feel like, oh, again, they are like represent us like this. So for me, it was like talk with the friends, like my sisters, and try to understand how represent her with the courage, the freedom, but all the fragility and all the contradiction that I think she have on her. That was for me the process, and with a lot of talking, and I put a lot of questions to Pedro Pinho, why you want to talk, why you want to do this film, why you want to talk about neocolonialism, and we was with a lot of talk and a lot of freedom to try. I don't have a fear to fail, and that was for me the most important. That I was on set and I was not a think, I need to be a good actress, you know, I need to impress the director. I just want to free to try and give my best.
Yeah. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about directing the ensemble of the film. Like obviously, like Sergio is perhaps someone you knew from before. He's like in other films, but my sense was that you were working with like some non-professional actors in this film, and can you tell us a little bit about how you kind of like you populated the film and then the way that you worked with the cast?
Well, no, Sergio, I met him at the same time than Cleo. We made a casting together. We worked like for 1 week or 15 days together. And then I realized that Sergio was the actor, the main character, and Cleo was...
I didn't realize that I was the actor.
And Cleo as well, but I was looking for the third character, Guy, for a long time, for 2 years, something like that. Because he was the character that was less written somehow, and I was looking for him, exactly for him for this long time. So I had to discover him first to make the match with the others. So that's why I left them waiting for a long time. And I saw Guy because the Brazilian producer used to send me lots of suggestions for Brazilian actors. And one day I saw in the Instagram of one of these actors, a friend of him in the photo, and I started to follow this person, and then I was like amazed with his capability of speaking with the body and the poetry that he wrote in the Instagram and all this. So I called him and said, I wanted to invite you to come to Lisbon and make a casting, and he did. So yeah, but it was very different as experience to work with. It is always to work with professional actors that tend to think, okay, you ask me something and I'll give you back what you want. No? And sometimes you have to break that to be able to be open to everything. And with Sergio, it happened a lot. There was some kind of mutual provocation. So, do you want me to improvise? So I will enter a truck and I will go 100 kilometers south, and then you lose the actor. So. But with the Portuguese workers, I've worked with the non-professional actors that were in my previous film. So we have built an enormous trust. And these scenes were very difficult because you were always asking people to represent very, very violent feelings, no, very violent moments. So it was really difficult to ask them to do that, all the actors. Yeah.
Just given the time, maybe we should see if the audience has any questions. We have time to take one or two, so if you have a question, please raise your hand. And we're going to start in the middle of the room over here.
Hi there. Congratulations on both of the.
Thank you.
Thank
Don't
you.
want to
Thank you.
block people. Congratulations on the film. I am curious about, you know, since you both talk about sort of a group workshopping phase and sort of drawing from experience, I am curious about why you have, you know, the sort of the non-governmental organization, the NGOs. Like, do you have that as sort of how do you see that as a point of entry into, you know, the discussion of this? And, you know, if this applies, Ms. Diára, how did you feel when you did, like, what did you think of that, you know, monologue when in the car that was, you know, very violent, very impulsive, propulsive, like the idea of the emotions coming out. I'm kind of curious how that entry point came to be. Did that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. If I'm not answering quite well to your question, you will tell me. But one of the starting points of the film was when I was spending some time, because my first ever feature was a documentary that I shot in Mauritania, sorry. And so I started going there into Mauritania several times, and in the end I ended by spending some months in Guinea-Bissau, and I met these people, expats, the so-called expats, that were working in NGOs. And I was like, started to realize this world that was something new for me, and starting to raise some questions about their presence there and about the feeling that I had that this was like a kind of perpetuation of the colonialist relationship, no? And in the end, I decided to try to start a documentary about this, about the cooperation universe. And I went, the first day of shooting that I went to Guinea-Bissau to shoot, I stumbled with the scene of the latrines. And I was totally petrified with that scene. I could not shoot. I was very strongly humiliated, and by the simple fact that I was there, and I was perceived as part of these people of UNICEF, and I couldn't even understand what was going on. And then later I realized that there is a program, like a strategy of behave changing, that's called the Walk of Shame. I invite you all to go Google it in UNICEF Walk of Shame. And this means to go to someone's house and embarrass the people about their previous sanitary habits. And this, someone thought this was a good idea. and so, yeah, this was a starting point for the film. Queres falar do diálogo, do carro?
For the scene in the car was already in the script, but when I read, I talked with Pedro and I told him, for me it's not about privilege, it's not about power. So I think we need to change the world because like an actress and also director, for me exists something that is very important to have, is like utopia. That's why in the end she say like, yet, I don't have the power yet. So when I did this scene, I bring all my knowledge, all the way I think and I see the world, because I went to the Guinea-Bissau and I see the neocolonialism, and for me, like a black woman, was very violent. So when I was like represent the scene, I bring all my knowledge, all the way I see the world, and the way I want see the world. You know, I want to. Yeah, I think I answer your question. I was like, I'm not sure if, but yeah, I was like, think what I want to see in a country in Africa, and I want to see our powers back. You know, I want to see like direct our own country. I want to see like the power to decide if we want or we don't want things. That's why I bring to the scene, and we talk and we rewrite the scene.
All right, we have time for one more, and we're going to go in the very back here.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Hi.
I hope you're doing good. I'm very interested in symbolism and motif. So there were two scenes that kind of struck me as I watched this. It was the woman in yellow at the job site. As she entered the job site and left the job site, I wanted to know if that was anything that was significant and why you added that woman in that scene. And also I wanted to know the significance of the pouring of the tea. I noticed that was something that happened multiple times throughout the film. I just wanted to know if there was any relevance to that.
Sorry, what scene was that?
The initial scene where we saw the tea, the first time we saw tea was the man on the side of the road. Then we saw the tea again when they were together in the scene in her home. And then there was multiple times where you see tea. I just wanted to see if it was like a cultural relevance or if there was symbolism or motif.
Well, I have a big love about Mauritania. I spent much time there, and in Mauritania especially, but in all this region, this ritual of the warga, the tea, is something very present that happens several times a day. And in Mauritania especially, it's very important that if someone invites you to drink tea, you should drink at least 3 teas. And so it takes quite a long time. It can take sometimes hours. And this is a very strong mark of the culture. It's the culture of being, of the presence, of being there, and regardless of time. And so for me, that I also wanted to experiment in this film with time, and I wanted to subject the characters to this experience of time. The tea was something that should be a bit like structural in the film. The woman in yellow, I don't think there is a symbolic reference. It's just that somehow I wanted to add some layers. Like some of these workers, they had worked in similar places, so they told me many stories. And again, there was this relationship with desire and love and relationship with the other. And I wanted to have this feminine presence in the world of the men, and that's why he's hanging her clothes, and they are supposed to be a couple, you know. So.
Okay, it feels crazy to say this, but we have to leave it there. So what I would do, I would encourage everyone to come back tomorrow and see the film again, and then come to the next Q&A.
Or
But
then wait to see the 5 hours 20 version that's about to, to be released.
But Pedro and Cleo, thank you so much for this film, and
Thank
all
you.
of you.
And Free Palestine, important.
Great.